Hi, it's Chris. In this video, we're going to show you how to change a door gasket on your refrigerator. Changing a door gasket is actually pretty easy. It doesn't take a lot of tools, certainly nothing specialized, a few basic screwdrivers, a putty knife, and possibly even just a hairdryer in order to take out any wrinkles that may be as you go to install it. Keep in mind if your machine needs to be repaired, it's usually simple enough to do it yourself. Visit PartSelect.com, enter your model number, and quickly find and order the part you need. Then follow our step-by-step repair video. So some of the reasons you might be in a position to have to change your door gasket is not just maybe it's ripped or torn, or you can see that it's sagging and falling off, but if you start seeing conditions where maybe the fridge is coming on more often than you thought it used to, or you're opening up, say, the freezer door and you're noticing all kinds of frost all around the inside of the compartment. That frost is because warm air is slipping past where the gasket would normally seal and starts to form inside the freezer. So your new door gasket is going to come to you usually in two different ways. It's either going to be in a box like this, or it's going to come in a plastic bag all curled up. So you'll just want to get the gasket into the shape as it would be on your refrigerator. So try and uncurl and take out any kinks that are there. If there's any that are actually formed, have a really strong kink, then you may need to warm it up a little bit. So you're just going to take your hairdryer. Typically, I would have a heat gun on the truck that I would use. It's a little hot for this, but ideally just a hairdryer works perfect. So the gasket on this style of refrigerator is the more common gasket that you see today, say over the last 5 to 6 years, and I think you'll see it well into the future. Very easy to change, a good seal. It basically just has a lip that pushes into a channel in the liner, so it's just a matter of pulling the gasket off and pushing your new gasket back into place. Now this style of gasket is a little unique. It's unique in the fact that the way it's retained, it's basically sandwiched between your outer metal door and your plastic liner. So when they built the fridge, they put the gasket around the liner, set the liner on top of the steel door, and then filled it with spray foam, making it become one complete unit. So in order to release the gasket, to change it, you need to break that foam connection. And to do that, all you're going to need is a putty knife. So you'll need to work your way around the entire perimeter of the gasket in order to get it free. But you're just going to start off by taking your putty knife, slipping it in between the gasket and the door liner, and then just you'll feel where the foam is, and you'll want to start pushing in to cut it to release it. Now you don't want to go in too far because you're going to be cutting foam that's needed in order to hold these two items together. So just about an inch, just work your putty knife down through, cutting the foam. So now that you've gone all the way around the perimeter of the door gasket to release that foam connection, you'll start to just pull your gasket back and start to pull it out from in between. Just keep applying that pressure and it'll start to pop out. So you can see this is the channel where your gasket sets into, and you can still see a little bit of the foam left that we didn't have to remove. Some manufacturers will give you an extra tab or lip on one corner, or possibly even two corners. So you just want to make sure that you're putting the gasket on the same way as the original was. So when we go to install the gasket, it's important to understand how it actually mounts. As well as it's sliding in, this lip of the gasket is actually going to curl in around and go into place inside this rib of the liner. So that's what we'll be looking to do as we go to install the gasket, is work this channel, this lip into that channel, and that'll hold secure. So I'm going to start on this corner first. I want to work that ridge into this corner just by bringing the gasket down into place. So now that I have this pretty well started on the top, I'll start down this back edge, doing the same thing, working that ridge into the liner. Then I'll just work my bottom edge and come back up around. Now one last thing on this gasket, if you're familiar with doing these, you know how much foam and how far to push your putty knife in. If you've gotten carried away and you've taken too much out and you're finding that the gasket is really loose or trying to fall out, you can take a little bit of clear silicone and just apply it just in behind that lip where you pushed your gasket into. Just put a thin bead on it and just run it nice and clean down with your finger so that it's making that seal for you. And just let it cure and it'll be all set. It'll stop that gasket from sagging or coming out of place, and will still give you a nice looking job. So this style of gasket is the kind that basically the manufacturer uses screws to retain the door liner to the door and sandwiches the gasket in between. Now there's two types, one where the screw goes directly through the gasket and into the door. Another model will have these screws that just need to be loosened, and the gasket is sandwiched between the liner and the door without the screws going through them. In that case, that one's just going to need all the screws loosened, and you can pull the gasket out and slip the other one in. This one, the screws all need to come out. So the first thing we're going to want to do, close your door, look for your hinge, and most refrigerators have a cover over this hinge. They'll either just pop right off, or there may be a screw that goes down through, holding the cover onto the hinge itself, in which case you're just going to need the appropriate screwdriver to remove that screw. When you take the last screw out, you can lift your hinge right out. Now the door should not come off, but it's never a bad idea just to keep your hand on it when you take the last screw out. So now that you have the hinge off, it's just a matter of taking a hold of the door, swing it open, and just lift it off the bottom hinge. It's just a straight lift. So now that you have the door off, and I just have it on a table, and you can start pretty much anywhere when it comes to taking screws out. So if you happen to have a screw gun at home, you can certainly use a screw gun to do this. So now we're going to take our door liner and flip it upside down. And we'll get our new gasket and we'll put it into place. So that gets you pretty close as far as how it's going to mount. So now all you want to do is just flip it back up so that it's in the proper position and start to put your screws in. Because those screws are going into a thinner metal, it doesn't take a whole lot to strip them. And unless you've got a really good feel or the perfect setting on the clutch of your screw gun, you could very well strip those screws, in which case that door liner and that seal are not going to be in the proper position. They're going to move on you. So for me, I'll take the extra time. It's a little bit longer, but I'll use my hand and the screwdriver to set all these screws. So now we're just going to put our door back on, take our upper hinge, put it into place. So now you've taken the time, you've taken off the old gasket, you've put on the new one, you put your door back on, you've closed your door, and it looks like hell. Well, don't worry. Remember when it was all packaged up in the box, folded over on itself, not in the best condition? This is what you get when you put them on. Don't worry about it. Now you're just going to take something like a hairdryer and apply a little bit of heat, and you'll see that that'll help form that gasket to come into proper contact with the fridge. So you can see with a little bit of patience and applying a bit of heat, softens up the gasket, allows the magnets that are in that gasket to get close enough to the cabinet where they actually start to grab a hold. So as you can see, it doesn't matter which style of gasket you have on your refrigerator. They're not that hard to change. You can just go through it step by step, and anybody can do it.